Lock and Key podcast may contain language and themes that are sensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised.
It's great to see you guys.
Man.
Yeah, good to see you also.
Man.
How you been?
I've been good. I've been very, very good.
We've been watching since I was on the yard and since Marv was on the yard by himself.
You both were, right?
Yeah.
You know something? Somebody asked me to send me some links, and I went on YouTube, and I had no idea. I mean, there were a lot of them, many more than I could remember, which only just shows how terrible a memory I have at this point.
I know what you mean.
But so many of these sort of reentry criminal justice podcasts, as you guys know, they're all so serious and sad. And we just got on here and we're like laughing. And I always thought, like, that's the part nobody really knows about. There's like a brotherhood. And when you're doing time, yeah, there's a lot of tragedy and sadness and loneliness and all that kind of stuff, and families that are torn apart. But there's also, there's a lot of funny people and characters and funny shit that goes on, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that was my thing. I'm silly like that. So if I could change the dynamics by being silly, that's what I did.
Right.
Because who wants to be miserable?
Right. For like 20 years.
Right.
Yeah. It'll eat at you. You come in 20 years and most of us have high blood pressure and everything. I'm speaking from the CO side of things. High blood pressure, high cholesterol because we don't eat right. So why not get a good laugh out of the whole thing anyway? So that's what I did.
Yeah, and you know something? It's very, very funny. Throughout my entire life, I've never been a good sleeper. And never could fall asleep easily. I never could stay asleep. At times, I've been addicted to Ambien, just to sleep. And then when I went to prison, of course, I had a lot of anxiety about going to prison. So I was taking a lot of sleep medication. And when I get there, one of the first things they do, they hook you up with the so-called doctor there, the crack medical team. And they're asking me, like, what medication are you on? And I tell them, well, I'm taking Ambien. They go, how much? And I tell it's a high dose. And I'm expecting, okay, we'll get you on that. And they go, well, no, we don't give you that. And I'm going, and immediately I'm freaking out because I'm never going to fall asleep. I'm already anxious about being here in prison, and now you're not going to give me the medicine. And, of course, when I get there, they put in the worst place right by the bathrooms where the lights are on the top of the double-decker bunk. And there are guys constantly going in and out and making noise and flushing the toilet. And God knows what they're doing in there. And I'm just lying there and I'm thinking, I'm going to be here. I was there for a few years. I'm never going to fall asleep. But once I got used to being there and I relaxed a little bit, I actually never slept so well in my life as when I was in prison. Because I no longer had any worries, really. I had nothing to think about. I no longer was being judged. Because on the outside, I was the bad guy. And I was judged. And I had done all these wrong things. But inside, everybody was the bad guy. And I didn't have to worry about money. I didn't have to worry about where am I going to get food. I wasn't getting calls every day from my lawyer and send me money and, now was a new problem and this guy just ratted you out and all kinds of shit.
Right.
And all of a sudden I had no worry, I had no decisions to make.
So you slept very well.
Did you too?
I did after it took about 2 weeks.
Yeah, right? Exactly. 2 weeks.
When they said, hey, the feds are coming. And you're looking at about 10. I slept like a baby after that, Richard.
Because it's the waiting and the worrying about it. And then when it's over, okay, now I know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I actually, for the first time in my life, ever. I started taking naps every day, and I'd never, ever done that. It sounds ridiculous, but
No,
it
that
was the
I
most
understand.
relaxing time in my life because there's not much to do. I worked out every day, which makes you tired. As I got towards the end of my time there, when I had to start worrying about, all right, now what am I going to do when I get out?
Right.
I had no prospects, I had nothing. That's when I became anxious. But while I was in there, I made friends. Where I was, it wasn't particularly dangerous, and I got along with everybody. So I was able to relax,
Right.
maybe for the first time in my life. It's pretty funny how things worked out in there.
So, Richard, we remember speaking with you and reading about you, man. So
Right.
you had the background in wire fraud, come from a white collar background, on
Yep.
top of the world to a great extent. When you talk about incarceration and how it impacts people, it dawned on me when my mother was coming to see me, Rikers Island, and I had another brother in there at the same time. And what was going on through my mother's mind? So it's very impactful. I remember you spoke to that when you went to Miami and you said something about how you had that wake-up call.
It's why I didn't know that you were in Rikers. I was in Rikers too for a while. That was after. It's the craziest story. If I can just tell a
Go ahead.
story,
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
this is the most fucked up thing. You know how like when people talk about how once you're in the system, you can't get out of it. And I never was in the system. I was guilty of a white collar thing. And my background, I came from a nice middle class sort of background. But in any event, when I was convicted and I was waiting to go away, there was a period of about 6 or 8 months before I had a self-report. And I had this rental car because I had lost everything, and I had a lot and I lost everything. And I had to rent a car to get around living in Miami. And I had put it on a credit card. And eventually my credit ran out. So I should have returned the car. But of course, I needed to keep the car. So eventually, whoever it was reported the car stolen. And so I'm like running around with this car, hiding it so they don't catch the car. Eventually, of course, they do find the car and me, and they arrest me in Miami for the stolen car. And they put me in the Miami lockup, which is no vacation at all. It was a pretty awful place that I was there. And the whole time I'm just shaking my head like, what the fuck happened to my life? Because I was living, with private jets and dating supermodels. And I used to own a nightclub on South Beach, and I was rich. And my life, I always visualized it as sort of like a toilet that like is swirling down and down and down and just getting worse every day in unimaginable ways. And I'm just shaking my head. I can't even get around. I had to walk like 3 miles to go somewhere. I'm writing a check at the public supermarket for $20, like just stupid, petty bullshit that I had to deal with that anybody who's in the system understands. And I'm walking on roads and I'm seeing all the shit that's on the highway, and people are yelling at me on the highway. They don't know who I am and they're throwing shit at me. And I'm seeing a side of life that I couldn't have imagined. And so now they throw me in this jail, which is disgusting. And I get out, and my sister, God bless her, she gets an attorney, and the judge says, all right. And he doesn't know about my federal charge. This is like a local charge. And he says, all right, you've never been in trouble before. So stay out of trouble, show up once a year for the next 4 years, and we'll expunge this whole thing.
Wow.
So, okay. So I go and I do my couple of years in federal prison. I get out, and I'm not aware, but unbeknownst to me, there was a appearance in Miami court that I was supposed to make, but of course I didn't make because I was in federal prison. I wasn't even aware of it.
Right.
So I get out of federal prison. I do a couple of months in a halfway house in the South Bronx, which is no joke. I get out of that. I'm at my sister's apartment because I have nowhere to go. I have no money. I am destitute and homeless. Thank God for her. She lets me sleep on her couch. The next day that I'm at her apartment, there's a knock on the door. Manhattan detectives are there asking, "Are you Richard Bronson?" I go, "Yeah, we have a warrant for your arrest." I go, "What? I just got out of federal prison a day ago. What could I have really done in New York?" They go, "We have a
Wow.
bench warrant out of Miami." I go, "Miami? I haven't been there in years." "Well, apparently you didn't make a court appearance 3 years ago or something." And I go, "Yeah, I was in federal prison." "Well, sorry, you'll have to work that out." They put me in handcuffs and they trot me off to Rikers Island. And I'm going, this is just never ending. Like, you're in the system, you can't get out of it. There I was in Rikers Island, and I had just done a few years in this federal prison, which was a low security place. It wasn't bad at all. And I'm thinking, all right, I did my time honorably. They gave me the chance to rat other people out so that I wouldn't have to go to prison. I said, no, I ain't doing that. You know something? I already feel bad enough for the shit that I did do. I'm not going to ruin other people's lives. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to take my medicine. I deserve it. And I get out, and a day later, I'm thrown into Rikers Island. I'm going, what the fuck? How do I get out of this nightmare? And there I am in Rikers Island for a while. Needless to say, I mean, that was no minimum security federal prison.
That is gladiator school. No. That is gladiator school. Yeah.
And the minute I get there, the place is
rocking.
Everybody is wilding. Everybody, and they throw me into this area, and there may be, it was on the barge where I was.
Okay.
And there may be 100 black guys and Puerto Rican guys and 2 white guys, me and this mafia guy. And he looks at me, he goes, "Stay close to me. Don't worry. They won't mess with you if they know that you're my buddy." And it was true. And I was there for a while, and he told me, just don't look at anybody. Look straight ahead. Don't
mind your business.
You know, whatever. And that place broke out. Like, it didn't take, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't take anything for that place to just go nuts.
It is.
It was rocking. That was some serious
stuff, man. Richard, you took one of the lowest points in your life. Homeless, rebuilding from scratch.
Right.
What made you believe that your story wasn't over?
I got out, and I just kept shaking my head like, what the hell happened? And what was the purpose of this? It was surreal for me how much my life had changed from what it was to what it had become. And I just tried to understand. There had to be a reason for all this. And one reason I felt was the experience taught. I said, what are the lessons to be learned here? And I felt like it taught me a lot about humility. I felt like, okay, that was a good experience. That was a good thing to learn. Because frankly, when I was riding high, I was an asshole. You know, like a lot of people who are riding high. I didn't treat people well or with respect. I thought I was above it all. I thought I was better than them. The rules didn't apply to me. And there's something about scrubbing 100 urinals for a bunch of guys every day that, you know, if you don't learn some lessons out of that, you're never gonna.
That's true.
So
that is very true.
It is. And I met a lot of people in prison, a lot of guys who maybe I wouldn't have before judged so well. And I just, you know, living with them, on top of them, I made a lot of friends. These were guys that I thought were every bit as, they were just human beings. They were a lot of great guys that had great hearts that, you know, it wasn't their fault the way They were born into this world, and despite it all, they maintained their integrity and their honesty and their sense of humor and their belief and everything else. And I hadn't expected that at all. So I came out and I said, what was this all for? There had to be a reason for all this. And it just sort of hit me because I had worked on Wall Street. I had worked where the only reason I existed was to make money. And I came out and it was, I mean, I don't want to make it sound, like ridiculous, but it was sort of like an epiphany to me. Maybe the whole point of this was maybe this is where your calling in life is. It's to help all these people who didn't have the education, who didn't have the opportunity, who didn't have the shit that you had. Maybe you could help them some way. And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 or so years of my life since I've been out of prison. Is I've dedicated myself to try to help all these guys who are my friends. How do you not help your friends?
Right.
And that's what I've been doing.
And so basically you took it as a reset.
Yeah. Well, part of it, honestly, is when I got out, a lot of my friends who I thought were my friends disappeared on me.
Oh, wow.
And, some of them thought I was sort of radioactive. They were afraid that, well, if I get close to him, I don't know, maybe he'll get me into trouble or, he'll wear a wire or some shit like that. Yeah. Maybe that'll happen. Right. Or, I don't know. There were people that I had lent money to who I expected would feel honor bound to pay me back, right. And they disappeared. I can't tell you how much money I had lent to people, and I came out and I had nothing. I had less than nothing.
Wow.
And I came out and these were people who were successful and they just disappeared. Some of my very best friends, and they just disappeared. And I didn't count on that. And that broke my heart.
And one thing you spoke on, a lot of people don't speak on it when we're talking about the people that you consider friends and allies and everything, and they disappear after you get out.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just got out of Lewisburg camp. So we call each other, and I haven't stopped being his friend or associating myself with him, understanding where he's been and what he's been through. So he may call with a question or two here and there. So I try to be there as I would before all of that happened. And a lot of times that's sad because those same people you look to help you build back up or even get back on your feet, and then they're not there.
Yeah. Even thinking about it now. And I got out in 2005. That's 20 years ago. And it still hurts. But, people talk about the trauma of what we've all gone through. And when I got out, there are all these different, people talk about trauma of going through the criminal justice system. And I always said, trauma, wasn't that bad, or it was, or whatever, or I'm tough enough, I can handle it. I never really accepted the whole concept until maybe a few years ago. And I realized that if you're stuck in prison or jail or behind bars or whatever, and I fully understand there are a lot of people who went through a lot worse than I did, who are in solitary, who are incarcerated for 20 years or 10 years, and who got beat up or threatened or whatever, incredibly horrible experiences. I had nothing like that. But still, the whole experience is traumatic. And I never realized how much it really did affect me, even the guilt I feel for what I put my family through. Because for them, it was probably worse for them than it was for me. And I'm sure, Tones, you've thought about what this meant to your daughter, your poor daughter. What did she deserve to go through this shit?
Right, that's right. That's
and the time that she missed being with you,
That's my
And,
guiding factor, what you just said. I missed 6 years of her life. I can
oh,
never get that back. She was born while I was inside. I was that stat that I didn't want to be, of a father, but a black father in particular. So she is my purpose when I move. When I write that extra paragraph, when I'm recording this podcast and putting her name on things, it's like, man, look, this is my everything right here. Everything from the colonoscopy that I'm setting myself up for to getting rid of these cigars. Every bit of it, man. March of 2017, I'm flipping through magazines because I needed things to do. And I saw Marv every day in the kitchen. My way back out of the kitchen, I'm flipping through magazines, right? One of those magazines had you with the OG hat on, with the round fedora-looking hat, right? And you got it turned like this, and it said 70 million jobs. So I'm like, oh, I start reading this. I read that, man, and it had 70 million jobs, and I believe something else was on there. I think it was Defy Ventures. Then it said you were formerly incarcerated. I wound up on your show a few years later.
and now here we are again.
Tell us about 70 million jobs, man. Give us some background on that.
Okay, well, that was then, and I'll tell you what's now. So I got out of prison, and for a couple of years, I just could not figure out what to do with myself. Like, who was I? Was I a big shot? Am I a home run hitter? Because I used to be very successful and I made a lot of money and I had a big company. And is that who I am? Because I can't seem to get my shit together and nobody wants to talk to me and everybody disappeared. Or should I be humble and should I go get a job working at McDonald's and just do anything? And stop trying to be a big shot because being a big shot is what got me into trouble. I didn't know what to do. And about the only thing that I could do, I figured, all right, what can I do that sort of not only is it okay that I have a record, but maybe I can use it to my advantage. So I got a job working at a nonprofit organization that helps people coming out of prison, a reentry nonprofit. It was called Defy Ventures, which you just mentioned. And it was really good, and it was a good place for me to just sort of get my head together. But I discovered that there are a lot of these nonprofit organizations that try to help people, and they have good intentions. But the truth is that the unemployment rate, for example, among people with criminal records is 30%. It's huge. The unemployment rate in this country is about 4%, but people with records, it's 30%. And people with records, if they don't get jobs, almost all of them end up back in prison. That's recidivism. 75% of people who come out of prison or jail end up back in prison or jail. 75%, 3 out of 4 people end up back in prison or jail. When they talk about how fucked up the criminal justice system is, that's what's fucked up. So I'm looking at how things are being handled with all these nonprofit organizations and governmental agencies, and they all mean well, but they're all doing it the same way year after year, and it's not getting any better. And I say, there's got to be a better way. Come on. This is awful. So I come up with some ideas, and the craziest thing happens, and I'm like starting to talk to some people about some of my ideas and using technology to do it. And you know the name Sam Altman?
Yeah,
have you heard it? Sam Altman,
ChatGPT.
exactly. Sam Altman is the guy who is behind ChatGPT. Okay, he is Mr. AI. He's built this company. Right now it's valued at $500 billion. He's a pretty smart guy. 10 years ago, he ran an organization called Y Combinator. Y Combinator works with new tech companies like Airbnb and Reddit, went through their program. He gets in touch with me. He goes, I heard about you. You were in prison. I heard about your ideas about reentry, and we'd like to invest in your company. We'd like you to go through this program. Here I am, this old guy who doesn't know that much about tech. I've never written a line of code, and I have a criminal record, but they want to invest in me and whatever. So I go, okay. So I start this company, 70 million jobs, and the idea is to have this employment platform for people with criminal records. So I move out to San Francisco, I start this company, and it turns out it was very successful. We helped a lot of people get jobs. And in doing so, when you help people get jobs, typically they live happily ever after. Things go well. They don't go back to prison. Unfortunately, in the year 2020, COVID hit and companies stopped hiring people and they fired all the people that we had placed in jobs. So I had to shut down the company. Jump ahead to now. Now we have AI. And what would have taken 20 people to do a startup then now takes 5 people. So now I'm working on a company, and it's called Commissary Club. Now, you know what a commissary is in prison. It's the one good thing in prison.
Right. Yeah.
A commissary is where you can buy the shit that you want to buy.
Right.
Now, it's not the best shit. They sell it too expensively, and it's not the best brands, but at least you can pick out what you want. And what's also good about it, it's sort of a social place because you wait online with your sheet that you picked out, and you got to buy like cans of mackerel because mackerel is how you pay the guy who cut your hair or making your bed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're online and you're hanging out with all your friends, and your prison is lots of waiting on lines, but it's a social place.
It is.
So in any event, the name of the site is Commissary Club. And Commissary Club, when we open it up, is the first community for 100 million Americans with criminal records. Mm-hmm. Sort of like a Facebook for ex-cons, for people like us.
Yeah.
And in it will be lots of different resources, like an app that takes over the entire employment-seeking process. In other words, rather than you using your phone, because most people with records don't have access to a laptop, they have to use their phone, it will create a resume for you. It will do a job search for you. It will actually apply for the jobs for you. You don't have to do it. It will give you interview prep so you know what to say and how to act. It will follow up with the employers. It'll even arrange for transportation to the interview for you if you need it. It'll help you with finding housing. It'll help you with legal help if you need it. It'll help you find a doctor or a psychologist if you need it. It'll have dating on it. It'll have all the different things that you need. If you want to make music with other people, it'll have events. It'll have all the different things. Again, you go to Facebook, it has a million different things. It'll help every single person who goes on it will immediately be given an AI agent of their own who will not only help you around the site and help you figure out how to get a job or housing or whatever you need, but everything else. And eventually you'll have a relationship with this agent who will help you with life in general. Remind you, Tones, that it's your daughter's birthday coming up and you better make sure to remember to give her a call and send her a card. So I believe we're having our moment. I believe the time has come for us to say enough is enough. We've lived as a disrespected, marginalized community enough, like women used to be, like African Americans used to be, like LGBTQ used to be, and then the women's lib movement came, then civil rights movement came, then gay lib came along. I believe it's time for us to have our movement, because let's face it, 100 million of us, we could elect a president, but no politician comes for our vote. Why doesn't Nike try to sell us sneakers? We wear a lot of sneakers. We buy a lot of hamburgers, but McDonald's doesn't try to sell us hamburgers. I don't know why that is. We come together. We are a potent political, social, economic force. And I want this place to be us coming together. I think the time has come. So that's what I'm building right now. Commissary Club, commissary.club.
Do you hear that, audience? Listen, man, that's
it.
beautiful.
I got limited time on this earth. This is something I've dreamed about for a long time, and I want to do it while I'm still here.
Okay.
That's powerful. Richard,
So that's what I'm doing now. Housing, community, all in one place. Only for us. By us, for us. Non-judgmental, our place. It's the first club that actually wants us.
Right. Yeah.
My friend Glenn Martin, Glenn famously said, he reminds everyone that he was the guy who said, the people closest to the problem are the ones closest to the solution. So I think that's very, very true what you're saying about the social work.
I mean, I watch people where I work at. Some of them struggled with substance abuse. Now they're working on their master's degree and they're out here in the city, like talking to people on the floor. You literally see them talking to homeless people or people who were just released from prison. So I think that's a fast track, as well as what's in prison with culinary. Like myself, I was with Marv. Marv was the foreman in the mess hall. I was in his mess hall for 5 years. What am I going to get out and start fixing cars?
Marv is the most beloved CEO in criminal justice history. Listen. I remember that. I'm going, what are you doing here? I didn't believe it at first.
Yeah.
I didn't believe
You're right.
it.
You didn't believe it. You're
right.
I go,
and then they came in and they started coming in, letting you know,
one
like,
by
wait
one,
a minute.
like,
this guy. You know what it was? I never went in with the intentions of, my job wasn't to judge anyone. That wasn't my job. So it's easier to get you ready to go home. Utilize.
You're just such a human being, Marv.
Yeah.
You have such a big heart. It doesn't matter where you would be. You are you.
Right. Yeah. And I took advantage of where I was at because I've met some great people. Look, we're here now. I met some great people. We're here right now. Great people.
A bunch of women we just had on the show, man. One of them was a former CO. She was kidnapped. I'm going to put her on before Glenn's show. There was another couple of sisters that he had. One of them wrote a book. The other one's so Marv was at the camp. He has a whole team, both men and women.
You got Divine on your show? Have you done that?
Oh, he's next.
Divine. He's next.
Divine is a professional media personality.
Oh, man.
Right.
He is the great. I love Divine.
Yeah,
he's
man.
the funniest.
Right.
He's shaking and moving, man. I love everything he's doing.
Right.
I think I follow him on Instagram. I follow him on Instagram. I see him.
He's like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, right. He got pictures with Rakim. These new rappers, old rappers. He's a tech show.
He's all over the world. I don't know. I think you should be have a PR company. Right. That's what your business should do. There's so much good talent.
Right.
If they were born into a different situation, they would have been fucking Mark Zuckerberg.
They could see. They have to see.
Yeah, they would have been big media personalities. They would have, been artists and shit.
Because I'm in the schools and you're paying attention to what they're listening to. What are they tuning into? It's dances and the nonsense. I'm a substitute teacher.
Yeah, he's with the kids.
All the little silly stuff, the high crime stuff, and people getting beat up, pages, and the TikTok fights. They chase nonsense.
I know.
Bob,
bad influence. Yeah. We're from a different world.
Right. That's what's driving them. And you know what? Right. And it's incredible. I held up my phone one day. And we come from the encyclopedias where we had to look through the encyclopedias.
And books.
Atlas and
books.
Stuff.
They know less and have more. They have more and know less. When I was in the Navy, I got my son a kid's atlas. And I used to call him and talk to him. And I said, I'm here, but I'm going here. How do I get there? And which way would we go to get there? And I would ask him questions and make him look up the country I was going in and tell me something about the country. You know, just to challenge his brain.
You'll never forget
Because
that either.
The three of us, though, sound like such old
We do.
people.
Right.
I feel
We do.
exact the same way you do, but I'm also
Right.
listening
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. So, Richard, how did everything you've been through, has your definition of success, and I think I know the answer, your definition of success, how has it evolved?
I hate to go back to a good night's sleep.
That's real, bro.
Look, again, I hate to sound like an old man, but, you know, being healthy, spending time with the people I love, that's part of being successful to me. I got nothing to prove. It used to be having fancy cars and fancy watches and a really fancy place to live. You know, you turn the lights out, it doesn't matter where you are, where you're sleeping, it's all the same. My friends go, "What do you think of this restaurant?" And I always go, you know something, once you've been to prison, any place is better than that. That's my baseline, sort of. You know, as long as it's better than prison, it's just fine with me. So I don't have that much to prove or much of a need to try to impress that I used to. I do want to have as much impact as I can in the work that I do. That's pretty much the most important thing to me. I've been doing it for a long time, and I recognize I have a limited amount of time, so I want to have the most impact that I can and use whatever I've learned and the experiences that I've had. So that's pretty much the most important thing to me. It used to be making money or material things or impressing people or shit like that none of that stuff really matters. I mean, yeah, I don't want to worry about paying the rent, but beyond that, and it's also kind of like the Buddhist in me. I believe in karma, and I very much want to just sort of make up for whatever bad shit that I've done. I want to go out where the scales are sort of tipping on the good side.
I think you've already hit that. I read something tomorrow before you got on. You gave an interview. Your last words of that interview, you added, "I lost my parents at a young age with the belief that they're still watching over me. I love them to feel proud of their son."
Yep.
Rich, you hit that point, man. I struggle with that with my mother and father all the time. I believe you've hit that point.
Well, I hope we've all hit it. Yeah. Not just me, not just the three of us, but I hope everybody does. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see them when it's our turn.
Richard, you've been a blessing to us, man. I still have you had a great assistant, man. She had these pictures of us.
I have it. I still have it.
Yeah. Me too. I still have it. That was big. Listen, Richard, you impact people because I think Mom's voice needs to be heard, especially his. Not every CO. But that kind of stuff.
Definitely Mobs. Yeah. Definitely Mob. Right. Mob breaks the mold, no doubt.
And that's really all I ever wanted. Let me move the opposite of what stereotypical COs, because I understand that you get abused and a lot of people don't like you. No, the reputation is horrible.
Everybody likes you. Whatever you'd be doing, Mob, people would like you. So I think you just break the mold as a human and as a man and as a person. So I think that transcends CO-ness. But listen, Tones, your words, I'm embarrassed by them, but thank you. It touches my heart. And I think a lot about you too. My email is richard@100million jobs, the number 100 million jobs, .net. richard@100million jobs.net. I'll make sure that you know exactly what's going on and some cool stuff that I'll share with you. So thank you both for having me. You guys are great. You've been great for so long that I've known you, and thank you for the good work you do.
Man, we appreciate you, Richard, man. We're signing off. Lock and Key Podcast signing off. Thank you for tuning in.